Stop reading the paper. Time for a wrap up for round 2. We'll start with your mob Saturday afternoon. It was sort of good, it was sort of bad, and it was a little bit ugly.
Oh, look, unfortunately, a lot of people have been comparing it to 2011, and 2011 wasn't a big bar to be judging yourself on, unfortunately. So
you could have cleared that bar. If it was a high jump,
I would have cleared it. Yeah, that's how low it was. So, look, in 2010, looking for respect, looking to be competitive, reach those things. But at Port Adelaide, we only like winning. That's it. We like winning. When you lose, you lose. When you win, you win. So that was what happened. They just didn't win. So that was the thing I thought at the beginning of the year. Sydney and Essendon, 2 winnable games, get those in the bank, get you a lot of confidence going into the next 3 rounds, which are pretty tough. Sydney, Collingwood and the Crows.
You don't like honourable loss?
Not big fan of honourable loss. Certainly a lot bigger fan than I am of a 138, 165 point loss, but definitely keep thinking winning. And when you're in the situation or in games that you have to guts it out. I sort of compared it to Geelong, where they're obviously advanced on Port Adelaide at the minute, but they gutsed it out until they got a window to win it, and then they did. I just thought there was a window for Port to win it, and it was just there, we missed it, and then the last 6 minutes I think they kicked 3 goals, which blew the margin out 25 points.
Is that class? Is that youth? What's the reason?
Personally, I think they were a bit flat from the week before. Didn't look clean all day. They grounded out, but they weren't clean, which they were the previous week. So I'd like to see the addition of Gray and Butcher this week, which would, I think, give them a lot more enthusiasm and fresh legs. Yeah, especially Johnny Butcher's chasing in forward 50. I really enjoy it.
It looked like you missed that small forward. It looked really slow in your forward line.
Yeah, and I think Robbie Gray does that, doesn't he? It's funny, like the last time they played, Gray kicked 6 and I think Butcher kicked 4. So you sort of took 10 goals out of the last time they met, which obviously makes a big difference on the scoreline.
Got smashed in rope.
Yeah, and to be fair to big Jared Redden, second game, didn't know how to take Paddy Ryder's run away from him. And especially in the centre circle, I would have liked to have seen him change his angle a lot more and come in and try and get his forearm to stop him jumping and then try and lay down. Primus used to do it brilliantly.
Well, you got Primus, you got Sean Wren there.
Ready. And I would imagine that they're trying to instruct that, but as we all know, those sort of things do take time. But Paddy Ryder was outstanding, and I actually thought Hill getting injured was a blow for Port because they would have mixed it up more, and Paddy just loves lifting to the challenge, and he just kept jumping and standing on people's heads and putting it anywhere they wanted it. So he was the difference, I think, between Port winning and losing.
Chad Wingard gets hurt. School have thought he needs to change the way he plays.
You can't do
Too
it.
courageous?
You can't do it, Christopher. If somebody said to you, listen, become an outside player and just hang around there and scoot around there and use your pace and get away from backs, what would they have said to you?
Find another sport.
Yeah, please. Croquet for you, my friend. There's no way you can do it. And Chad plays that way. He's got to keep playing that way. That's a really unusual injury, a scratch on the eyeball. Let's hope he's okay, because he's electric. He makes things happen that you can't see happening, and that's the brilliance of him. So let's hope he's all right.
Can you beat Sydney?
Well, we're going to have to now. I think it's one of those games where you have to make up for the one we should have got in the bank. Now we've got Sydney at home. They haven't got a great record at Amy, away from home, all the rest of it. I think it's just one of those things that you have to be really confident that you can beat them.
Now for your mob, let's talk about Adelaide. I don't know if you saw any of the game, but the Bullies came out with a plan not to get blown away.
Yeah.
Numbers behind the ball, were worried about the scoreboard and said, I don't know that we can win it, but let's not lose it by a lot.
And they fought hard, didn't they, to come back into the game. Boyd, I thought, was outstanding.
Boyd was brilliant.
Oh, gee whiz.
His third quarter, kicked a couple of goals, dozen touches, some couple of clearances, was magnificent.
It was impactful, wasn't it? That
Absolutely.
was the difference. But what I liked about the Crows' effort was that they didn't go, oh, this is all too hard, what's happening here? They really, again, just grounded it out and got the win. You know,
ugly.
An ugly win's beautiful. You know, in a strange way, to get 4 points again. They're 2 wins, and that's just feeling great for them.
Yeah, I think the win was a lot better than a lot of people gave them credit for. They were in real strife. I mean, the third quarter got blown away a little bit, but sort of stemmed the flow towards the end of that third quarter. Dangerfield, a moment of brilliance in the start of the last quarter, just got the spark back in the team. And I thought it was a really good win. I mean, people said, nah, not great, maybe it just shows you where they are. I thought it was a really good warm-up for a big game this weekend.
Can they beat Hawthorn?
They can beat Hawthorn. I mean, they've got an issue with Buddy. I don't think they've got a right match-up for Buddy because Rutten's not right. He's a little bit off the pace and probably takes a couple of weeks.
Match fitness.
Yeah, Talia's not the ideal match-up for him. If it's, you know, body on body, he's going to get hurt like did with Travis Clegg. I'd nearly play McKernan. I'd nearly pull McKernan out of the local comp. He's been playing full forward there and say, your one job this week, stop Buddy Franklin, roll Rutten onto Hale, let Talia take a Gunston or a Roughhead or somebody like that, and just change the dynamic a little for one game. I don't think Sanderson will do it. I think he'll give those in place a crack at it.
It'll be interesting. Is there a school of thought, and I'll see other clubs do it, where they actually roll different opponents onto Buddy? Because nobody can go with him all night.
Yeah, I think if he plays in the forward out of the goal square, it'll be Rutten. If he goes to half forward, it'll be Talia. And if he goes on ball...
You reckon they will?
Yeah. They'll just do it depending on where he lines up on the ground. And he seemed to play a lot more out of the goal square, I thought, on the weekend against Geelong. So, and I don't mind Rutten on him. I mean, he does body a lot. If he's up the ground, he's difficult, but... You know, they've got a team defence now.
As long as Buddy keeps trying to kick him along the ground.
What was he, Buddy? Well, thank you. I tell you a couple of really good things for the Crows. Brent Riley's form, career best, I think. I thought he was their best player on the weekend. Hands are outstanding, good courage, and he's hitting some targets with his legs. So some good signs, some worry about Andy Otten. I haven't seen him get a kick all year so far this year. He's out of sorts. He's a little bit fumbly, looks unsure, and might have to go back. Not quite sure that he's going to be up to the intensity of a game against Hawthorn this Sunday.
A lot of depth, though.
Depth is good. Couple of blokes in the local comp playing really well. Brodie Martin, Matthew Yench, Matthew Wright, McKernan, as we mentioned. So they've got blokes ready to come in. Richard Douglas is out, so they'll make one change. I've got a gut feeling they might make two for Hawthorn this weekend.
Does it make any difference at Hawthorn? A really hard contest yesterday. Crows get an extra day's break. Is it making any difference to teams being able to come up?
I heard them speak to Chris Scott after the game yesterday, and he said, don't be sucked in, it's a number. He said players are now accustomed to short breaks. I mean, some teams have got a 4-day break. I think Collingwood and Essendon leading up to the Anzac Day game is a 4-day break. He said, no, they're okay. It's a fascination for the media and it's a statistic.
Don't let anybody make it as an excuse.
Correct. Now, I've got a beef, you've got a tantrum.
I'm going to have a tantrum.
There's no beef in there. My beef, Taylor Walker. I love him. I mean, I'm an unashamed fan. And again, when you like someone, you probably pick on him a little bit, and we did in the call on Saturday night. Probably a harsh critique of his, but gee, affects the scoreboard. And it's probably time for the media and the fans to get off his back.
So you're telling yourself?
I'm telling myself. I'm telling everybody else. Get off his back. He was brilliant on the weekend. Again, game at crunch time. Couple of big goals. A couple of really nice things. A couple of ordinary things as well. But he affects the scoreboard. 8 scoring shots. I mean, this kid can play.
He is the Jeff Thompson of football in that he doesn't know what's going to happen, so you don't know what's going to happen. And that's
some days he's going to take none for 100.
Correct.
And other days he's going to take 6 for 27.
And a few scalps with it.
And he took a couple of scalps. I mean, if you look at Tommy Hawkins, how Geelong have showed faith and patience in him, and all of a sudden he has blossomed, doesn't he? So faith and patience with Taylor Walker, because he's going to blossom. This year he'll kick 50 plus. He could kick 75, but he's going to be around for quite a while.
Is he going to do it with a mullet for the whole year?
I hope not.
And it's not. I had that hairdo 1988.
Yeah. And finally you got to change
Trying to get it back.
2008. What's your tantrum?
Well, look, my concern is after round 2 is that we're going to see the great games like Geelong Hawthorn and Hawthorn Collingwood the week before. And then we're going to see North Melbourne GWS and the Crows v Gold Coast and things like that, where I reckon by June we could have a very split season going on. And let's face it, Melbourne aren't travelling well. They're getting hammered. Brisbane got smashed by Carlton. If we get too many of these 100-point losses, people are going to lose a lot of interest in the other half of the round.
More worried about Melbourne and Brisbane than GWS and Gold Coast, because
we know they got upside because they got talent to come.
I remember 1991.
Yeah.
Going to Moorabbin. Going to Victoria Park and losing by 120, 130 points.
Nasty.
So that's going to happen.
And you had experienced blokes.
Correct.
Yeah.
We did have kids.
That's right. So
Melbourne are the worry for me. They
are. Yeah.
Stink.
Oh, on the nose, and they've had so many terrible incidents leading into the season, and Mark Neild at the moment looks like a bloke's been coaching 100 years.
Speaking of stinking, you need a shower, we need a break. Next week.